everybody, because folks were asking for a quick video on how to put together a just basic planet for PI, we're going to make a P0 to P1 planet. In this situation, we're going to be harvesting reactive metals off the planet. So I've got a planet that needs to be restarted, and when I looked at it, it needs to also be tore down and in a better location. And I figured this out by going to the metal I want to look at and the scan options. And this little slide bar, as the wider it is, the better the resource density. I can quickly find that there are other places I should be building in. And it looks like we're going to go with about here. Yeah, let's go with there. So, let's do this quickly. I'm going to go ahead and decommission, and then tear everything down. If this were a brand new planet, the only thing you'd be doing differently is adding your planetary command center and then clicking on the command center, which if you double click on a planet randomly, you can actually get immediately to if it's already down. But if you were to have dropped this thing for the first time, you would see this bar. All these would be gray for what you can upgrade to and red for what you can't. You just go ahead and upgrade, and you select the max upgrades, pay for it initially, and then you have to save it, and then that gives you your additional power and CPU for your planet. So now we're going to go back to the extractor. If we go to that scan, we can expand the field to about an area where the extractor would cover. Everything inside that circle is what it can cover, so you just kind of want to get a good reasonable area for it. You can build it below, around, whatever's going to give you good coverage. So what I do is I have a extractor to storage, and I build these things as close together as I can because the shorter the distance between the objects, the less power and CPU they need. Therefore, the more crap you can shove on a planet. I go for this little basic honeycomb because I wish this game had templates, but this is something I've found works once I've got a little pattern in place. So now that I've got my buildings down, you have to link all of these together. So if you go over here to create link, it then has it highlight so all of the links go together. You don't have to worry about things going crazy connections. It all can just be one object to another, so they'll all kind of daisy chain. Objects can push up to 6 buildings away, and in this configuration, nothing is 6 buildings away. So I'm going to do the extractor to the storage, storage to launchpad, launchpad to launchpad, and then from here, I'm going to make it kind of an X, and then from here, just kind of link these 3 together, these 3 together, and submit. And now I've got the whole layout all set to go. Next step is going to be to program what your factories are doing. So in this case, they're going to be making reactive metals, and then you have to route them to this launch pad. So the reason I have 2 launch pads, I take these 5, and I put it to this launch pad, and these 5 to this launch pad. And the reason is the more space you have here, the more time you can go between pickups. So that's what I'm doing. If you single click this, you can create the route. And now you see how it went yellow, it's good to go. Or if you click the factory, double click your item you want to make, and then double click the destination, it's less moving the mouse around, so I like that because I want this done as soon as possible. Click, click, click. Cancel that one. I already made a mistake. So now, because I routed the wrong launchpad, I just go to routes, click the one I want to fix, delete that, and we're good to go. So now, go ahead and reroute that. And again, this is to make it so you don't have to do PI every single waking day because, no. Eve Farmville sounds like a terrible idea. All right, now we have our layout down. We have our factories that are going to produce the materials. We have the produced materials output to the launch pad. Next step we're going to do is actually go to our extractor and pick the material we want. So from here, we were doing base metals because that's going to give us our reactive metals. And We're going to have to determine the time we want to do this for. That's entirely on you for your schedule. I like to try to have my things done around like 9:30 my time. So at the time that I'm recording this, I'll need 3 hours to get to that time, and I try to do them for about 3 days at a time. So I'm going to do 3 hours in 3 days, and then I'm going to turn on all of the extractor heads. I find that if I wiggle this space up or down, the fringe point between like the white and the red is kind of where I just kind of always go with my extractors. The smaller you make the space, the more resource dense it is, but also the faster it kind of messes with what's on the planet, because these resources do move over time, and that can be like the speed at which you're pulling stuff off the planet, the number of people with factories on these planets, etc., will cause these to shift. So eventually you have here a nice resource dense area. It could start looking like this crap, and then you want to tear this down and put it all up in another place, and if you spread it out a little bit more, it may or may not slow it. I can't quantify that, but it works so far, so I'm just going to run with it. So we extract that, we start the extraction. Now we have to route this material to the storage. Now, all of this material is going to go to the storage. And the reason we want to go to the storage is if you took those routes and individually went to all these factories, if you had overage, it would just be wasted. This storage acts like a catch for anything that's produced in excess of what all the factories can take. Now, you have in the routes, this incoming material is going to be, click on that, create route, double click here, and now you see how it went yellow. And there's no flashing red. That means that is a factory that has an input material coming in that it can process, and then a destination for it to ship it. So that factory is completely good to go. And then we get to do this again. Oh, I double clicked that, so that's why I pulled up the information. So in this one, we need to route. Whoop, that was yay. That was going here. And then incoming, I'm sorry. We're doing the incoming from the factory, or storage still. Derp me. All right, create route here. Create route, and we're gonna do this a lot. All right, I'm gonna actually try and do this right a few times in a row so you can see how fast it can go. Input materials, create route, double click. Routes, input material, create route, double click. Isn't PI fun? All right, and that is a planet that is set to extract, and it will, this is pulling about 60,000, 51,000, 52,000 units per cycle. Each factory needs, where is this? 3,000 units a cycle. So you can do the quick math on that. So you're at 10 factories, 30,000 materials. So in the beginning, it's going to be producing 60,000 materials. But as the life cycle on this goes, you see how it kind of tapers down. So over the average, it should be enough that it's going to endlessly be producing for the whole time without any wasted downtime in factories. And yeah, after that, you just get to do the adventure of in space. Now you have this planet that's set up. You just go to the customs office, warp there, and that's going to allow you to access the customs office as if you were there. And then you can just drag and drop materials. If you had the P1 here, it would look like probably this guy. Yeah, just it's on the interface with the Poco. You just drag it over, transfer, and when you fly there, you can take this and drag it straight to your ship if you were at that Poco. And that's P1. That's all the raw material. So if you're a guy with one planet or you're a guy with 100 planets, you're all going to be doing that. But if you're a guy with one planet and you don't want to spend, or rather one character full of planets, and you don't want to spend millions of SP getting stuff to go to P2, P3, P4, that's cool. P1 raw material is still incredibly helpful. We can work out a list of who needs to make what and where and go from there. So I hope this was helpful. It was a bit of a random one-shot, but yeah, if there's any questions, let me know. Thanks.